So that was Moving to New York by the Wombats. God, I sound like a radio jockey, but honestly, when I first heard that song, that reminded me of just football altogether, even though it has nothing to do with football. But just the sound of it, like, just brings back older memories of related to football stuff. It just sounds like it belongs in FIFA. Abir, what's one song that comes to your head? And you can't say Blur, please. Other than Blur, what one song brings back, football memories for you, or just connects you to football directly?
I would say Kasabian's Fire, because it was played so many times on the Premier League show, and it was at a time
True.
when I used to follow Premier League almost religiously.
So you don't follow it anymore? You're
Well,
the
I mean,
admin of Plaantik, the founder of Plaantik, and didn't follow football. They don't want to hear this, man. I think we better cut this part.
things have become busier now, so I can't follow it as.
So
as much as I
you're a
used to.
grown up now. You have to attend weddings in Punjabis. Any other occasions today?
No. It's been a quiet day so far. I just wanted to be done with a few chores that I had.
Hopefully, this podcast doesn't feel like a chore.
This is special. This.
Okay, look, welcome back to the show. The last time we brought you, we had over 3,000 views from Brazil, and what's the second one? United States. So tell us, who do you have in Brazil and the United States, and who did you pay to buy the views? 'Cause honestly, the ones before we had like 200 views or something, and all of a sudden you come and it's 3,000. Mate, you've got some under the table dealings that you learned from Mr. Sepp.
Well, about time everyone knew about my stardom in Brazil. You should have invited me a lot earlier.
Abirdinho. I think that should catch up.
True. Hashtag Aberdeen.
Hashtag Aberdeen. Okay, just comment hashtag Aberdeen if you're listening. Moving on. Our topic today is the Bangladesh football, domestic football, something which was an integral part of Plaantik when we started, something that we wanted to be a very, deeply involved with as we, 4 or 5 years ago when we started it all. But as the years went past, it just never felt right in a lot of places, and this entire topic is about the idea that where the domestic football is going, and it kind of sprung on from some of the comments made by the Bangladesh Football Federation, especially their social media, which we know is worthy of a meme page of its own. Rantages, if you're listening, or anyone else, if you're listening, you've got a gold mine there. But other than that, one thing we hear quite often from the BFF is that they make allegations of how the football suffers because there isn't enough attendance, and people who complain, we have complained in the past, I've complained personally in the past, that there's no passion in the game in Bangladesh. There's just feels very dry, and their response more often than not is Kiki is there now, but something else. Their response is, if you don't come and watch us in the stadiums, it's never going to improve. And it kind of implies that it's our fault that the domestic leagues don't improve. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there are a few, very dedicated Bangladesh fans, football fans, who go to domestic games every now and then. But how does that work along in the terms of the international level of football, and what are your sentiments around these things?
Oh, I respect their view, but I think it's very aggressive. Look, there was a phase a few years back when I tried my best to follow domestic football on a regular basis, but at one point it became a tedious experience. It just felt like I was going through the motions but not being entertained. About attending a game, I think we also have to consider the practicalities of attending a game in Dhaka, or especially in Dhaka.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the games are on weekdays. You have to consider traffic. So going to watch a match at a stadium will take me, including the game time, it's going to take up 4 or 5 hours of my day. I think ultimately it comes down to quality. What utility am I going to get by watching a game, by going to a stadium and watching a game? I don't think full stadiums will improve the football infrastructure or the quality of the games. I hate to sound like Louis Van Gaal, but it's a process. I realize it's not going to happen overnight. But what steps are being taken by the federation that's going to convince me to invest my time?
Just to kind of quickly cut you off there. I mean, you say it takes a while to kind of go, but have you ever been to like do you usually go to cricket games when the T20s play, or when Bangladesh cricket has a game at home?
I really want to, but I end up making my final decision at the last minute, so I don't end up getting the tickets. But I really, really want to, especially for T20 games.
So the fact that you don't end up getting the tickets says a lot about the amount of people going. So yeah, so that's a good comparison. But yes,
but the point that I was trying to say is that I need to be convinced that there is
yes,
there's something happening, there's the project going on, that something big or something different is in the works. I think our Premier League needs to be marketed the right way. It's about quality, but quality alone isn't the only thing. For a different kind of example, Premier League, as we often debate about, may not be the best league in terms of quality, but it's like many people agree that it's the best in terms of providing entertainment value. So what this league needs to do is market the right way. It needs to cater to the youth, and one way of doing that is to embrace the digital space. Look, if I don't get time to watch a game or to go to a stadium and watch a game, I would like to watch the highlights on YouTube or on Facebook. I don't get to do that.
Yes.
I don't want to watch the entire game. I don't want a stream video that has 90 minutes of the match. I want to watch the best parts, the goals of the month, the best, the best howlers of the month, things of that sort.
But even then, if the quality of the highlights, as in not the picture quality, but actually the game of the quality of the game is so bad, after the end of the day, coming back home, you don't really look forward to anything, because it's just the structure of it, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, which is why it comes down to entertainment value. You create more hype. You create more hype, and
yes.
And then once there is a certain amount of entertainment value, you're able to attract more investment, get more sponsors on board. I personally think the interest is there,
yeah,
but it needs to be nurtured the right way.
Yep. And I definitely agree there. I think it's not just the quality of the game; it's also how it's presented to the consumer, the demographics. Because when we started doing Plaantik, and I remember how we kind of fed to the passion that was already there. It wasn't. It wasn't the fact that we were gonna do a podcast 5 years later. That was never the dream or anything of that sort. But it just grew up within this niche circle, and that kind of told us, and we're not the only ones. There's so many other groups on Facebook. There's underground tournaments happening. There is a market for it, and it's high time that they need to look into the youth, the digital aspect of it, and even just how the games are shown. Even today, I think there was the Sheikh Kamal Cup happening, and a team from Maldives and a team for Korea, I think, were playing each other, and I think the team from Maldives won. And yes, I was actually watching the final Plaantik shootout. You couldn't see who was taking the Plaantik. You could see the ball, you can see the keeper, but you couldn't see who was taking the Plaantik. And if that's what was presented to me, my 10-year-old nephew, he came in and I asked him, come and see some Bangladeshi football. He just looked at it and he's like, oh, is this a goal kick? So it all comes down to technical side of things as well. So overall, you're definitely right on the money there with the overall structure, the marketing, and the technical.
And just to add to that, I mean, subtle things like camera angles or graphics or the typography used in graphics.
Exactly.
I mean, these things matter a lot.
Absolutely. And we even had a podcast where we compared the Premier League with the La Liga, where La Liga even can't get to the same level of Premier League in terms of crowd engagement, only because of the subtle things, and nobody, most people don't even realize. But beyond that, how do you plan? I mean, I'm asking this question as if you're the president of the BFF, but if you were, I mean, what would be the main steps to revive the games? Because even beyond Dhaka, like Sylhet, whenever there's a game in Sylhet, oh man, I mean, some of the pictures, it's brilliant to see the crowd and the love for the game there, but it doesn't translate anywhere else as much, and overall it just still feels the same thing. It's the same stories, just the same corruption, but overall, how do we really bring it back to the glory days?
I think, look, it's a very broad topic, and it's like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. But I think the first thing that they should do is regain the trust of people, bring structure to the league, get rid of all these corruption allegations, and then like the digital space and catering to the youth will come in later. But first, get everything in order. Get the players to be professional. Like we saw what happened when our players went to Perth, for instance, during the World Cup qualifiers. Like there's a controversy every time. Every time we start doing a bit well. So let's get rid of all that. Let's put our feet on the ground and be professional and have a plan. And just stick to it. Give it some time. If it doesn't have a plan B, but try different things. I mean, I wouldn't call it a spaghetti strategy because we need to have some sort of plan. But if it doesn't work out, just try something else. And at the same time, like I said, digital space is very important. Try marketing it differently. Try to make it look cool to the young people, to the young crowd, and I think gradually things are going to improve. Like for instance, the Indian Super League in India, like you might say, it hasn't changed Indian football, and I agree it hasn't brought major changes yet. But I think it's to some extent
at least the stepping stones are there.
And to some extent it provided entertainment value, which will eventually help them get more money, bring in money into Indian football.
And beyond that, I remember them doing grassroots programs as well, where they were taking people from Kolkata, like young kids, being trained by people from Atletico Madrid, or just taking the players from Atletico Kolkata all the way to Spain. So things like that, even just that exposure is definitely something to go ahead
with. Absolutely. Also, one thing, just to respond to the allegations by the federation, I don't think it's fair to expect people to show up at stadiums just because we are from this country. They need to realize that they have to create value for us. For instance, not attending a hockey match doesn't make me any less of a Bangladeshi. So why should football be any different?
Absolutely. And I say this at the same time, like, if I don't support Bangladesh in a cricket match, there's so many people who get mad. Oh, this is Bangladesh cricket, why aren't you supporting? Well, are you supporting when Bangladesh plays chess, or when they're playing hockey or any other thing? Because there isn't the same value. You're supporting the cricket because but I guess we were going to digress into a totally different side of things. Well, look, to kind of wrap it all up, the only way to do this is come up with a clever slogan. I think start a campaign, and the slogan should be "Make BFF Great Again."
Absolutely, with hats everywhere, all over the country.
Red hats with green writing. We are going to produce. No, we're not actually. But I think that wraps up our first part of the discussion, because we would really get into a lot of detail if we wanted to. But we know you guys don't listen to us beyond 10 minutes because we follow and track. No, just kidding. But if you do, thanks for listening. We have a few questions in this part of the show, and this was a lot of weird questions as well. But should we answer them as well?
I mean, let's see how far we can go. We'll be very brief.
Okay. Reich H. Bluhan says Ranier said winning the league was a one-off thing, and they won't be able to produce that sort of result in the near future. Do you think he didn't believe in his team? That's why they were failing this season? If not, don't you think that these sorts of statements demoralizes the players and managers shouldn't make such statements? And similarly, around the Ranieri side of things, someone else asked that even though it was harsh, wasn't it a bit logical to sack Ranieri? And that was a question by Sam Rahman.
So for Sam, I think we have answered that in our last podcast. We did an extended podcast on the Ranieri topic last week. For Raik,
but yes and no, I think we do we do think it was logical. Yes.
For Raik, I would say even last season when Leicester were doing well, Ranieri was kind of trying to play down the expectations. He kept saying that firstly, avoiding relegation was their target. Like he never said winning the title was what they were aiming for. But I think it's a very sort of it can be different for different people. Like I mean, motivation factors work very differently. What motivates me may not motivate the other person. So it's very difficult to say whether these sort of statements are kind of are demoralizing them or kind of like the players realize that the manager's saying it just for the sake of saying it.
It's like winning the lottery for Ranieri, and whatever he said had a logical basis on it. And I guess there's so much into it now, but you can listen to what we think in our other podcast. We'll link down in the description. This next question comes from Shobhun Ashfaqur Rahman. He says, why did Katape kill Bahubali? I don't know this reference, but sounds like some Hindi serial. But he also asks, also thoughts on the declining quality of refereeing throughout the leagues and possible causes.
Oh, again, broad topic. We need to do a separate podcast on this.
A different podcast. Thanks, Shobhun, for that beautiful topic of why did Katape kill Bahubali. We won't be covering that in the Plaantik podcast, but we will do the refereeing one as one of our episodes. Irfanul Haq Khan asks, where do you think Manchester United will finish at the end of the season? What will be the final top four and why?
I think final top four would be Chelsea, City, Spurs, and United.
I think that's a fair top
I think
four.
United will finish in the top four. I'm guessing I'm going for fourth. I think they've kind of been playing well over the last few months. I mean, results haven't always gone their way, but they've had the football being played the right way. And other teams, Arsenal, Liverpool have started slipping up a little bit. Arsenal, well, they blow hot and cold on a regular basis. And I think United now have sort of they found the right system to go for that last push. Only thing that could work against United is their fixtures coming up. They're in the FA Cup, they're in the Europa League, and then the Premier League as well. So that could work against United. But at this stage, I would say they will just make the top four.
Shams Arafat asks, a lot of players are moving to China. Is that good or bad for European leagues?
Tough to say. I would say bad for European leagues because they're losing their players. Oh,
yeah, well, I think that's pretty straightforward.
on the flip side, they're getting an insane amount of money, more money than they deserve for those players.
Money, so there's injection, exactly. Way. I think it's too soon to kind of say, because it's only been a couple of seasons where they've really turned heads in the community. So maybe wait for another few seasons to see how it works out. Fukir Sakib Shadman asks, who is bigger for the club, the player or the manager?
I think sometimes we don't like to admit it, but the star players or like a team's star player, sometimes they tend to be more important than the manager. On balance, I would say manager, but there are a few exceptions where like the player's star quality outweighs that of the manager's.
I think it depends on the club, the scale of the club, and where they are at the season. So it's kind of a very broad thing, but if it's hard to choose one or the other, really. I
mean, for instance, when Rooney was on form, was at his peak in 2010, like he had the star power, but he wasn't able to be bigger than Sir Alex Ferguson. There's a part in probably his biography where he says that after Rooney got his contract extension and his raise, he went to the owners and said, "Hey, the boss should earn more than the earn more than the players." So he wanted a pay raise as well. So I think that kind of speaks volumes of
absolutely.
What
the modern game as well.
Exactly.
Okay, Rubabal Islam Sami asks, which movie is better, Logan or Lagan?
I haven't seen Logan yet, so
I haven't seen Logan yet as well, but it would have been awesome to see Amir Khan come up with the Wolverine's clause. That would have been cool in Lagan. Syed Hussain, is Barca big enough to be managed by Wenger? Ooh. and Rishtal Almas, will Wenger be at Arsenal next season? And Tanvir Hassan asks, is Wenger good enough for Barcelona?
So Wenger and Barcelona dominating the comment section. I think it all depends on where Arsenal finish at the end of the season. If they miss out on the top four, I think I see their marriage, Arsenal and Wenger's marriage, ending this summer. I actually think Wenger would be a good option for Barcelona, and Barcelona would be a good option for Wenger. So I think it's a good match.
I think it'll be a good start to it has all the the chemical ingredients for a good match. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out. They just feel right together, I think. But it just depends in the modern game, really. I think he'll be good. I think he'll be good. Given time, he'll be good. Kazi Ashikun Islam Nahid asks, Chikon Piner Charger Hobe. Bro, it's 2017. You can find that joke in 2015. Mehdi Hassan Shubho, he asks, who's the next manager close to being sacked?
Tough one. Oh, I guess
Sam Allardyce.
No, I think true. If he gets sacked, then Leicester will be knocking on his door immediately. I have your answer, David Moyes.
No, I think he's been awfully unlucky this season. Awfully unlucky. He's the team has had so many bad, just luck. Hitting the post, conceding like late goals, very, very like unlucky in my opinion. They've played well. I've watched quite a few of their games this season, and they've played reasonably well. But given the modern game, it could be Moyes, but I don't think so. Maybe the Swansea manager again.
I mean, given the modern game, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Conte. If I wake up tomorrow and see it's Conte.
Good one. Finally, I think that's all the questions. Well, Irfan Hanaf says, love you guys, but I really doubt you'll get asked so many questions that it'll be impossible to answer them in your podcast. Well, Irfan, screw you, man. Screw you. No, just joking. To be fair, when we posted the status update, we didn't think we were going to get this many questions, but we actually ended up getting so many that we've pushed beyond our 20-minute mark. We're almost on the 25th. So Irfan,
don't
underestimate the power of Plaantik. It was so bad. It won't be in a t-shirt anytime soon, I can tell you that. Well, that wraps up our show for today. We've gone way, way, way beyond our time. Abir, thanks again, man. I know you have stuff to do, chores to do, so I'll leave you at that. 25 minutes if you've made it this part of the show. Thank you. We'll come back with an episode 6, hitting your eardrums on a Monday. As always, keep calm and don't miss the Plaantik.